The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of At the Heart of Business, a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. I'm your host, Judith Tate, and I'd like to welcome my first guest today, Irismar Lawrence, owner and founder of Irismar Wellness and Life Coaching.
Thank you for having me, Judith.
Thank you so much for being here. So, okay, you've been on the show before, so tell me what's gone on, what's changed in your business? I know you've got a lot of good stuff going on.
Yes, I decided to actually focus on my coaching business. Mm-hmm. That's more the empowerment of others to achieve that full potential. Having gone through my own journey, that's sort of what is the passion, where does it lie? Mm-hmm. And we need to pursue it. Yeah. So that's what I did. But it doesn't mean that I don't stop being a real estate investor. Mm-hmm. That's when I first came on the show. So I think it's more owning all aspects of your whole self.
Yes.
And following your passions.
Okay, so you did a certification recently?
Yes, I finished my certification earlier in the year. So I am Chopra Certified Life Coach. Okay. And that's just for me was the accreditation that I wanted to connect with because it's the mind and body connection. Mm-hmm. And Chopra focuses on the 4 cornerstones of life. That's the kind of differentiator of our life coaching.
Oh, okay, and what are those cornerstones?
The cornerstones are finding purpose, finding meaning, working with your shadows, which is sometimes what we may have suppressed and not dealt with, and just being really in alignment with your intention and being very intentional about what you do and how you do it, and alignment with the goals, but also with your dharma, which is your essence, your passion.
Oh, your dharma is your essence.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's explore that a bit further. So first of all, why would you do, say, Chopra certification as opposed to Bob Proctor or something? Because I know.
No, that is a valid question. I think it's for us is what resonates with you the most.
Okay.
And for me, having dealt with my own, different challenges through my upbringing and having suppressed those emotions and having to require the shadow work myself, Chopra just provided me that balance because the power lies within. And for me, it was just a natural gravitation to connect with Chopra. And that's what I follow, that particular certification. But it's not that one will be better. Yeah. It's what resonates with you the most.
Okay.
At the same time, we still have that fundamentals of achieving the higher power, the higher potential that makes us who we are. Yeah. But it's how we transfer it to others and how we breathe it daily. And for me, it was the Chopra.
Oh, okay. I love it. So the 4 pillars, you talked about your shadow.
Yes. So in the 4 pillars, I help you find your purpose.
Okay.
So that could be what drives you, and that's, as we call it, dharma, but it's what associates with you, what brings you joy, what brings you passion. And that is just innate. That is something that doesn't change through your time. I help you find meaning, so that will be reframing all emotions or all traumas that you might not have dealt with. Maybe it's a belief that no longer serves you. I'm a firm believer of stopping limiting beliefs and saying, is it serving me now? And how can you leverage for a source of power? The shadow is those emotions that we might have suppressed, but we don't realize it, that because they were suppressed, they're now surfacing at times in our present future. So it's how do we identify those patterns and harness them for positivity. And am I missing the meaning, shadow work? Those are our 4 cornerstones. So purpose, meaning, shadow, and continuous alignment with the intention. So we can align with our goals, but are our intentions in alignments with our goals?
Okay.
Or with our purpose in general. So for example, would I want to focus on my health? Are my intentions for the day or my choices, are they in alignment with my goals?
Oh, wow.
Right? So that's kind of bringing that great level of awareness for yourself to have that control.
Yeah, because you could really intend something when you wake up in the morning, but you don't exactly follow through on those tensions. Not you, like just in general.
Oh, in general, 100%. And it's not detrimental. It's really about having that awareness. Oh, I didn't get to. So how am I going to prioritize my intention the following day? Because we're humans and life happens. Just like a heartbeat monitor, it's going to have the ups and downs. We're not meant to be linear. So it's just how we harness that. But having intention is also bringing a level of awareness. Because it didn't happen today, but I will prioritize that tomorrow. That's the intentionality of it. In a very simple term, but it's very unique for each individual. Because as a coach, I will meet you where you are, and your intention and your goals are way different than the next client or myself.
Okay, so why did you go into this this coaching? Because there's a lot of coaches. What is it that you offer that's unique or different compared to other coaches?
I would say my uniqueness comes to really embracing the fact that we carry biases and limiting beliefs that we haven't necessarily addressed them. They just become dismissed or suppressed. So I help you really eliminate those beliefs, embrace the power within, and harness it to achieve your full potential. But without doing the work, they wouldn't realize it. So you might feel, I've been doing this job for a long time, I like it, I'm very confident at doing it, but something's missing. I just don't feel my whole self. Then we might need to do a little bit of work, because somewhere we were in unalignment, we went unbalanced. And sometimes it's because we need to address those emotions that we might have either suppressed to propel those forward.
Okay. And how do you work with business owners then when it comes to, say, their strengths and weaknesses and just embracing who they are so that they can build a strong business?
Well, without the foundation, behind every single business, there is the human aspect. It is the person having that drive. So are you really in a level of self-awareness that you're not getting so caught up into the performance and the drive that you neglect yourself? Because at the end of the day, our business will be a reflection and an extension of ourselves.
True.
Right? And even if the more that we grow an organization, then that will be a reflection of our employees. Right? We lead by example. And we want to make sure that you get to address that. You know, it's good to have a good level of stress, but understanding that it's not detrimental. Because we sometimes drive and perform at that peak of performance in that stress level, but it's understanding that it's not detrimental. It's not taking me far beyond.
Okay. As far as finding that balance, how do you help people to find that balance, or specifically businesses or entrepreneurs, between just life and their business and managing their families? How do you help them that way?
I help them by bringing them a new level of awareness to them, where they are and where is their focus. Their focus is not going to change, but it's how are you nurturing those pieces. For example, recently I had a conversation with an entrepreneur. We're talking about his children and how they play basketball and they go to the games, but he's prepping because his busiest season is coming. So the question is, how are you going to be present? Because that's what the child requires. Well, I got to respond to my clients. Well, if you're going to be at the game, you cannot be at the phone. You got to be present. Because when the game is finished and you are in that way home, in that transit, you'd be like, oh my God, did you see that pass that? Did I do this? I did that. That's how you become present, but it's become intentional. It doesn't mean you're neglecting your business. You just put a pause. And again, it's, when I say level of awareness, you start creating boundaries. And you respect those boundaries, because we need to respect them first in order for them to work. So for him, it was, I'm going to work all the way up to that point, pause, and then after we get home, if I need to respond to the next client or et cetera, or work on the business, then I'll do that. But it's being very intentional in the moments that are precious or moments that matter. And in that case, he was able to nurture both the family and the connection as well as the business. But you gotta have those clear boundaries. And sometimes we just lose sight. Because that is our bread and butter. That's what pays the bills. But we don't wanna miss on those pressure moments.
That's very true. And when you really think about it, there's rarely anything that is so urgent, unless you know that there's something going on that you really, really need to respond to. There's really anything in business that's like life and death. And, where you can't just, put your phone away and enjoy the basketball game for, I don't know, an hour, however long it lasts. So that's really important to help people to understand that, to see that.
And that comes from awareness, right? Like, it's the business is not going to stop. and my relationship with my kid is not going to stop.
Yeah.
But that particular time frame will pass, and we will not be able to get it back.
True.
So it's about having that intentionality of, I want to be present, and being present is being fully present. No, oh, well, I'm here, but I'm thinking about the email that I didn't reply, or I'm thinking about that solution I didn't get to.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on that later.
Yeah, that's really good. Even for just in your regular workday. I know for me, what I do is my phone is on do not disturb pretty much the whole day when I'm working, because it goes off constantly. And also, I think it's really important to not always be answering the phone, like say friends that are calling you in the middle of the day. It's just like, I'm busy. Like, don't talk to me or don't call me until the end of the day because I'm busy, right? So I think it's really important to establish those boundaries, and
Yes.
because you can get stressed out. So
Yes, and the idea is, even with those boundaries, is also understand the dynamic of those relationships at times.
yes,
So, for example, my husband will not call me during X particular work hours because he knows that I'm working, I'm focused. But if that phone rings and it is his number, something has happened. So the
Yes.
next time that I would have a break or a window, I will acknowledge, just double check.
yeah.
So it's not fully like dismissal and boundaries, I won't break them. Sometimes things do happen.
Yeah.
And we just need to check. So it's having that awareness, like, you never call me, what are you calling me today? Or why is that coming in?
Yes.
Right, so that
that's
will be
true.
in your case. Your children will not call you, they respect your time or your taping.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then it's like, I might need to check on that because they
Yeah.
normally don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
So that's a new awareness for you, right? And
Yeah.
even other clients, like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I have, like when my phone is on do not disturb, only certain people, and it's like a family that can get through. So yeah, definitely. And usually when they call, it's for a reason. So I agree.
Yeah.
So tell us about what was your journey from the corporate world into entrepreneurship like?
That was an exciting journey because I was already stepping into the coaching part. I developed a mentoring program in the organization that I work for. It was very successful. But prior to that being successful, I was already doing it impartially. I became a coach or a mentor. But that transition was daunting. 100%. You're going from the stability of having a paycheck and getting comfort to, oh, wow, now I have to focus on my business full time and I need to acquire clients. So it's really having a level of what are my strengths? What do I need to learn? And don't be afraid to ask for help. We need to truly know as an entrepreneur, where are my areas of opportunities to learn and to grow? And am I seeking that help?
Yeah.
Because why would I reinvent the wheel when someone else can provide me the steps that I require
Yes.
or the support that I need?
Yes.
But sometimes we get caught up into I have to figure it out on my own.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, that can be a great journey. But at the same time, why put yourself into that stress and that hurdle
Yeah.
when someone else can help you get there faster?
Yes, I agree.
So that's a little bit of that transition. I certainly have learned lots. And I'm continuing the journey full on because that's what it is about. It is the journey. It's the experiences that we have along the way and what are we learning throughout. Because it's a constant growth and a constant learning.
Yes. All right. So, last question. What are your words of advice for someone who's starting out on their journey?
For someone starting on their journey, honestly, be self-aware and honest with yourself. Have the focus of what's your passion, what are you doing it for, and ask for help. And I'll take it a step farther to embrace collaboration versus competition. Even if we are in the same industry, we can collaborate, we can learn from each other and uplift each other. And last but not least, do not neglect the personal self-care.
Yes.
Because if we neglect that and some stresses start coming, that compounding will eventually manifest
Yes.
in your health, in how you're performing, and in your business. So those will be the 3 core takeaways.
Great. Thank you so much, Arismara. This is great.
Thank you very much for having me. It's wonderful.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. We will be up next with Daisy Rodalis.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
This is Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to At the Heart of Business, a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. I'm your host, Judith Tate, and I'd like to welcome my next guest, Daisy Rodalis, owner and founder of DRPR, Public Relations Company.
Yes.
Welcome, Daisy.
Thank you so much, Judith. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you back. You've been on the show before. It was a while ago.
It was a while ago during COVID, so it's nice to be
Yeah.
finally in person here.
That's right, because we were online at the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So tell us about DRPR.
Yeah, so DRPR is a public relations and content marketing agency. We're based in Ajax, and we mainly serve small and medium-sized businesses. We offer a multitude of services in PR and content marketing. Just to name a few, we offer media pitching, press release writing, and distribution. We also now just started offering PR event planning as well to help you amplify your events. And then on the content marketing side, we offer a combination as well, social media marketing, email marketing, and sometimes a little bit of website development.
Wow, that's a
Yes,
lot. I don't
yes.
think at the time you were offering all of that.
Yes, at
That's
the
great.
time we were kind of just focusing mainly on the social media side, on the content
that's right.
marketing. It is still, I would say, 80% of our business is mainly social media marketing on a monthly basis. But we do get a lot of PR projects now. Every now and then, so
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Do you have a big team?
Right now, actually, we did grow our team since I guess we last discussed. So now we are a team of 3. So I have a graphic designer. I also have a video editor, so she does all the video edits for social media, and then I handle a lot of the PR projects.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, it is so much fun, and we're all women too,
Yeah.
so we definitely have a blast together.
Oh, that's so good.
Yes.
So recently, I think you were a nominee for the Peter Perry Awards.
I was actually, yes. Thank you. I was
Yeah.
this year for the Entrepreneur of the Year, Todd
Okay.
Skinner Entrepreneur of the Year. Actually, it was a blast. I honestly. I wasn't expecting it. Like, I put my application through, I got a nomination, and I was so excited when I found out that I was nominated. So I was in the top 3 overall for this year, and it was a blast. The gala, the awards, it's just an honor to be recognized in the community.
That's really nice. So someone nominated you for it?
Yes. So I had a nomination, and then we had to go through an application process. And then from that application process, there was a committee that would select, I guess, the best, the
Yeah.
top best 3.
Yeah.
So I was able to actually get, a little certificate
Yeah. Oh,
with,
good.
the recognition. So it was a blast.
That is really nice to know that you are being recognized for your work.
Definitely.
Because sometimes being an entrepreneur, it can be very lonely.
Yes.
And you feel that, am I having an impact? Does anyone even know I'm here? So
Definitely.
that's really nice.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've grown. Like, I would say we've been in Durham now for 4 years. But even just looking back and reflecting at, where we were at the beginning to now, with our team growing, with how many services we're offering, really it's just a passion of mine to support
Yeah.
entrepreneurs
Yeah.
and to help them also realize, public relations is a method of marketing in a way that they can utilize for their business.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I would say, businesses, especially small business owners, they think that PR is something that only a large company or corporation can do, or that you need a specific budget for it. But the truth is, any business can benefit from PR. But really, it's just the means of helping you get recognition and press, and that credibility for your business.
So where are the different, like for the PR part or
Yes.
media pitches, like where do you do that, or
Yes.
who do you try to get your clients in front of?
Yeah, so I would say it definitely differs based on industry and based on company. We've had, for example, a business before that, very different from each other. One of them was a business where they were offering, I would say, children's toys, like baby toys, in a subscription model, and we had to actually pitch, I would say, parenting magazines and a lot of parenting, even podcasts, to try to get them that credibility for their business, but also to help them to become known as an expert. A lot of their toys were actually Montessori inspired, so they helped with the growth and development of the children. So it was a very unique kind of business. And we've done other pitches where it's completely different. Where we're writing press releases all the time for different companies. We've worked with mortgage investment corporations. We've worked with, right now we're working with an immigration company. We've worked with even nonprofits, just helping them to build awareness, when they have specific announcements as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And it's a lot of fun to really explore more about these industries and
Yeah.
how they're also changing their landscape.
Yeah. Okay. So why is it important for businesses to have that exposure, or to even work with a marketing company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say, nowadays with, the growth of online marketing and the growth of just, technology, it's crucial for every business to be found and seen online. Of course, there is, I would say, our business actually goes through a trajectory when we market our business. So we first start with our branding process, where we get our brand, our logo, we kind of understand our identity. We then kind of move into the more of the online marketing space, where we get a website done. We want to be found and seen online, even just through keywords. You then might dig into more, I would say, marketing such as SEO and social media. And then I'm actually kind of your last step. So once you've done all the three things, branding, you have your website, you kind of are beginning to market yourself, then I would actually come into place. And our company will actually help you with that monthly marketing through social media. And then we'll also help you take it a step further by pitching your brand to magazines and to media, so that you can actually become known as a credible business.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So do you evaluate businesses and maybe reach out to them and just suggest that, maybe this is something you can try? Because I would think that a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't really do all those steps
Yes.
that you mentioned.
I would say they definitely, and I think because PR is still something that a lot of businesses are exploring, it's something that they may not necessarily know is there for them. So that's a great question. I would say it varies based on service, and it definitely is based on what is going on in their business. When I do communicate with any business, I kind of evaluate what's going on in their company. So we'll actually send a questionnaire, or we'll do a one-to-one, really just to figure out, do you have any specific announcements coming up? Do you have a milestone? Are you celebrating, let's say, an achievement, like an award? Are you, expanding? Are you growing your team? There could be so many things going on in their business. So once we've evaluated that, we actually can right away suggest, hey, a press release might actually be a great method for you, because we can write a press release, and we have a newswire service we use that's called Globe Newswire that allows us to actually target news outlets all across the world. So we can target based on city, and we can target based on country. So once we write the press release, we can actually send it out. Let's say if we click on Toronto, we can send it out to all the major news channels that are in Toronto. So it includes like Globe and Mail, Toronto Sun. So it's guaranteed.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
Time to feed my cat.
Yeah, no worries. So it is guaranteed news coverage every time, which is fantastic, because a lot of small businesses, that's what they want. They just want to know that their business is going to be seen and heard and found and become known as a credible business. So this is a really great way for a business to gain credibility, and it's actually a lot, I would say, less costly than advertising because you really just pay the newswire service based on the city that you're targeting.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I feel like we could explore this all day. But
We could.
yeah.
I could talk about it all day.
So what was it like to start your business during COVID?
Yes. So that's a great question. I did start right in the brink of COVID. I actually started freelancing. So I used to work downtown at an agency, worked in corporate as well before, and I got laid off actually after COVID. So that's when I was exploring where to kind of move forward. And I just started freelancing in that time while I was applying for jobs because I thought, we need to make ends meet. And I love what I do. So I just started reaching out, and I actually started off just working with a couple family friends who started their own businesses. One of them actually had a brick and mortar, so they really needed everything marketing related, like, even posters, graphic design work, social media, PR. So we pretty much got them up from the ground up. And after that experience, I loved it. And I said, this is, I think, something I want to continue to do. So my journey actually was that it was hard to get a position during COVID because of obviously everything that was going on. And then I actually got connected with BACD, which is the business center in Durham. I actually ended up working with Teresa as well and with the team in their digital Main Street team.
Oh, okay.
Yes, to promote it was a digital marketing grant.
Yeah.
But during that time, I actually got a lot of inspiration from Teresa and from the team, and they kept encouraging me to start a business.
Good.
Yes. So once I took the plunge, it was the best decision ever.
Oh, good. Yeah, Teresa's awesome.
She's
and
amazing.
the team at BCD is awesome. That's how I started in business many years
Really?
ago.
Wow.
I went there and I was just looking like, okay, this is when I had the dog walking business that I sold back in the spring. I was like,
Yes.
how do I start? I had no idea, and they were amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I recommend to anyone that lives
Yeah.
in Durham region, get the mentorship, get the support,
Yes.
the resources. It's all there for you. And, their team is amazing. They're there to support you every step of the way. So that's incredible.
Yes. So what is the most effective business strategy that you've used in your business?
Yes, for our growth, you would say, or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay, that's a great question. So I would definitely say, to market your business successfully, it does take a multitude of things. I would say it doesn't just take one set marketing tactic. It would be a multitude of things for your business. I would say your consistency in marketing your business is crucial, though. That is number one. So every month, whether it's you doing social media every single week, whether it's you hiring an SEO expert to kind of keep you at the top of search engines, whether it's, you even just sending out newsletters every month. All of these things are great tactics to help you grow.
Yeah.
And I would say to anyone, just keep, the consistency going because you
Yeah.
will see the results.
Okay, that's great. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much, Daisy.
No problem.
That's great. I'm just
Thank
so
you,
happy
too.
for all your success.
Thank
and,
you.
I just look forward to watching you continue to grow.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Judith. And I admire what you're doing as well. And
Oh,
just
thank
being on your
you.
show is incredible. So
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on another episode of At the Heart of Business.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
In para hockey, the ice tilts in favor of men. But that will never stop us.
United by passion, battling for equity. We are the National Women's Para Hockey Team of Canada.
We're here.
We're hungry.
We're ready.
Ready to inspire.
Ready to leave our legacy.
Ready to be supported and make history. It's our time. Are you ready?
It's a leather interior, I guess. The flares are a factory. The reason they put the flares on is that back in Europe, they did not allow the rubber to go past the bodywork. So if you put wider wheels on it, they simply had to do something, so they put the flares on. And outside of that, it has slightly different engine, I'd say, specs. It was putting out a bit more horse than the standard 351 that was in the North American models. And outside of that, the car is pretty well stock as you see it. Not sure, some people say these rims are factory due to the wider tires and back in 73. I couldn't find any more details on that. And outside of that, it has been repainted due to a silly thing that someone prior to me clear coated over top of the original paint and it didn't stick. So I had to take it off and I had to repaint it. But outside of that, car was in great shape. So techie-wise, okay, so it's a 351 Cleveland, which was actually for some odd reason sourced from Australia for the European models. So it's a slightly different displacement, and some people say it's 372, others say it's higher than that. I don't really know the details. Nonetheless, as a stock engine in its day, it was around 375 horse in the Euro model. Again, this is not that I don't have any written specs on it, but that's what I hear. This one, I had to modify it slightly because when I bought it, it had a carburetor on it, and I just didn't like the looks of it or the performance, so I put a fuel injection on it. Works very well. It's a Bosch fuel injection, so it puts out around 500 horse. Transmission is original. It's a ZF made in Germany. Same tranny that they used to put into GT40s. Some race-prepared Porsches used them. And it was never a production gearbox, but it was always for special interest kind of vehicles. And the rest of the car, it's a bit of a parts bin car. Many can tell those are Fiat door handles. Steering column is from a Ford Capri, just for the fun of it. Front bow joints are Jag, rears are Chrysler. Taillights are from a lot of Italian cars. Lancia used them, also Jag used those same taillights in one particular car. Anyway, so there's a lot of outside parts, and the body was made in Italy in Turin. It is a blast. The car is reasonably light considering the horsepower. It weighs just around 3,000 pounds. But what I do like about it, and a lot of people will tell you the same thing, that easy to get into and out of it. Spacious to a person up to about, let's say, 5'10", 5'11". It's roomy enough, good view from it, and it really is built to handle. It really is.
Bless you.
Hi, I'm Johnny. I invite you to repeat after me. Aneen. You just said hello in Anishinaabe. Tune into my show, Hello Aneen, to learn more of the language and culture from my home in Curve Lake First Nation. It's a 15-minute show and it's easy to follow along. Catch a new episode on the second Thursday of every month at 6:30 p.m. right here on Rogers TV.
My dad was a railway porter. It was just about the only job a black man could get. But he had big plans for us. Music would be our ticket out of poverty. I knew we couldn't afford that piano, so I practiced twice as hard.
Nice, Daisy. Okay, Oscar, let's hear it.
Turns out, I wasn't half bad. Then I found jazz, or it found me. It wasn't all easy, though. I faced a lot of hate, but I found my stage. They call me the man with 4 hands. Well, I don't know about that, but let's see how far this ticket takes me.
From Montreal to Carnegie Hall and far beyond, Oscar Peterson became one of the most recorded and celebrated jazz musicians of all time.
Hi, my name's Vince Hobbs. This is my 1974 Dodge Challenger Rally. I bought it new in '74. I've had it 51 years. I recently was in the St. George Car Show, won Best of Show and Best Classic Car. So I've made quite a progression. My first car was a 1963 Plymouth that I bought for 150 bucks, so we've come a long way. Yeah, so the Plymouth was a push-button automatic on the dash, weird little car, and I had that for a few years, and then as you get older, you buy newer models, more stuff that you need. I was into hunting and fishing. I progressed to trucks and whatnot, and led me down the road until I finally got this one. I fell in love with the first Challenger I saw, and the rest is history. This particular model of car was produced only from 1970 to '74. I saw my first Challenger at the Toronto Sportsman Show. They used to bring the new models into the show, and I saw one, instantly fell in love with it, and I ordered one the next day from our local dealer. It was a 5-year journey to end up with this one because of the low production numbers of Challengers. And every year I ordered one, they were canceled for one reason or another, probably just because it didn't make it to the assembly line. And in '74, I knew they were canceling the production of these, and I insisted that the dealer find me a vehicle because they sort of owe me after 5 years of loyalty ordering. And they scoured around southern Ontario and came up with this one. Back in the day, back in the '70s, it was common to order a vehicle. I don't think it's so common anymore, but it was very common to go to your dealer. You could order the engine, tranny, trim, color, everything. And this isn't what I was ordering because I was looking for a big block muscle car, and the oil embargo in 1973 killed all the muscle cars. So they started scaling back on the engines. This particular car has a 318 with a 2-barrel carburetor. Comes with factory Positrack. Very few rallies came north of the border. This particular vehicle, there was only 16,000 built in Detroit in 1974. How many of them came across the border? 4,000 or 5,000. How many of those were rallies? 2,000. So you start to get an idea how hard it was to get one of these things. Interestingly enough, in 1971, after I was already in the process of trying to get one of these cars, the movie Vanishing Point came out, and it was this exact car, different year, but white Challenger. And if anybody's seen the movie, it's It's a class.
Kowalski. Occupation, driver. Transporting a supercharged Dodge Challenger from Denver to San Francisco. Background, Medal of Honor in Vietnam. Former stock and bike racer. Former cop, dishonorably discharged. Now he uses speed to get himself up, to get himself gone.
So that got me even more driven to find one of these things, and it just coincidentally turned out that I got a white one, which I've found out through investigation that is one of the very rare colors for a Challenger. It's a 3-speed automatic. The rally package, for instance, includes the performance hood, the rally stripes on the side. There's a few other features inside. Cluster dash with the 150 mile an hour odometer, bucket seats, floor shift, yada, yada, yada. To go back to the vanishing point scenario, that was a 1970 440 car, and over the years, between 70 and 74, they changed engines for one thing. I think 440s and 426s were only in 70 and 71. Then they started to scale them back for fuel consumption. And this vehicle illustrates their last body style. Actually, the body style stayed the same, but the trim, engine size, and whatnot made this similar to the Vanishing Point car, but not exactly. Had I been successful in ordering the 70, I would have had the exact same car. So, being the original owner, I've babied the thing. This is pretty much exactly like it was when I bought it. The only thing I've changed is the tires, because the polyglass tires that came with the car were very lumpy. It didn't feel right for riding. So I got these tires, and other than that, it's just how I bought it. This would be a survivor car in terms of car guy stuff. I had an opportunity. I'm also a aircraft aficionado. I love the fighter jets, and I had the opportunity to get some pictures at one of the air shows, and it was staged in front of a Canadian Forces F-18 fighter jet. So that's my pride picture. So as far as driving this car, every time I do it, which is rare, it's like a whole new experience again. It's no power steering, no power brakes. It's Armstrong steering. It's so strange. And because I don't drive it often enough, it's a brand new experience every time I do it, and I love it. When I do drive it, occasionally, it draws a lot of attention. I have guys pulling up beside me, they start yelling, Vanishing Point, and this and that and the other thing. And I kind of shy away from the attention of it. I don't go to too many car shows, and so that's kind of a neat experience. When I bought it, I said, I'll own this car forever. And of course, everybody says, yeah, everybody says that, and they never do. They'll sell it 10 years later and get something else. There it is, 51 years later. So in 2008, the Chrysler Corporation reintroduced the Challenger because they were so popular at the time, and it was sort of a dream at one point to own the new version and the old, but it never got quite to that point, so I'll just stick with the old one.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Cruise TV Canada. If you would like to feature your car, event, or automotive business on future episodes, please reach out to us on our Instagram. Until next time, I'm your host, Stephanie Astoria, and we will see you cruising out on the open roads.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
When I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was deteriorating in front of everybody.
All my life, I lived with sickle cell. I went through a tragic crisis that put me in a coma for 3 weeks. While I was in there, I received a lot of blood to put me in a healthier state.
I was given the plasma then through IVIG. Even though that happened so long ago, it still has a massive impact on me today.
Thanks to donors, I can live another life.
Because of you, I will be seeing my grandchild.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight with Scientists in School. Today, I am joined by Patience Cathcart, who is a data scientist and a public safety officer at Electrical Safety Authority. Welcome to the show, Patience.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, this is really exciting because I love that your background is in the arts. You speak 3 languages, and yet you are working in data science. So how did that come to be? Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. It was very strange. I certainly did go to university and I studied French, German, and Spanish. And then when I finished, I started working at the Electrical Safety Authority as a French and English speaking customer service representative. So I was helping people take out permits for inspection. And when I started working for the company, I just thought it was really cool. It was a really great place to work. I love what we stand for. I love that we're able to help people stay safe in Ontario. So that includes, my friends and family, and myself included. So it's very rewarding. And I just had, I felt very lucky to be able to work for the organization.
So let's talk a little bit about electricity. Like, we kind of take it for granted. It's everywhere, right? Let's talk about, where does electricity actually even come from?
This is such a great question, Patty. And it's so important because we absolutely take it for granted. We have something that we say in the company, which is we're born with the lights on and we just expect it to always be that way. So in Ontario, we get energy from the earth, we get energy from the sun, from wind, and also from water. So we're really lucky that we have all of those sources in Ontario. And for other sources that we don't have, we have them in Canada. So we're even luckier to be part of a country that then has the resources. So when I say we get energy from the earth, what I mean is nuclear energy. So that comes from uranium, which is a mineral. There's a reaction that happens with uranium, and we call that nuclear from uranium. We get energy from the sun. So from a solar perspective, you may see, if you're driving around Ontario out in fields, you'll see big, huge, square tiles in fields, and there'll be rows of them, and they're usually black or dark blue. And what's happening there is that energy is coming from the sun, and as soon as it hits those tiles, it's being converted into electricity. And that electricity is then being taken away by wiring that comes from the solar panels. For wind, you may also see wind turbines around Ontario. So there's some places in northern and southern Ontario, lots of places around Windsor, for example, lots of places along the big lakes that we have, where you'll see those wind turbines spinning, and that's generating a lot of energy. In addition to that, we also have water. So we have Niagara Falls, which is huge, right? So imagine if we look at Niagara Falls and we see all the power that comes from that water, that is also turning turbines, and it's creating energy for us. So we have lots of different sources of energy in Ontario. Then in Canada, we also have natural gas. So you may have heard of natural gas. Lots of people have it in our homes. And we also have coal. And we are also working on tidal energy. So natural gas is basically gas that's trapped in the earth. So we put pipes down in that. It comes up out of the earth, and it turns turbines to create the energy. We have coal. So that's also a substance that comes from the earth. Again, coal produces steam when it's heated, which then also produces can turn the turbine and produces energy that way. And then tidal energy is really cool. This is on either coast of Canada. So we have it out in BC and out in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and New Brunswick that they're working on this. And what tidal energy does is it uses the currents of the ocean to turn turbines, which then create energy. So we have all of these amazing sources. We're so incredibly lucky. And so anytime you're out driving around, I encourage you to kind of take a look and just think about the fact that these are all different ways that we're able to produce a ton of energy in Canada and Ontario specifically.
That was a great overview on all the different ways that we can harness energy in Ontario and in Canada. That was great. Now, there is this global ambition, let's say, that by 2050, we will have zero carbon emissions.
Yes, so this is a serious goal. And globally, from sustainability, environmental efforts, it's very important that all of the countries participate in the UN's goals for sustainability in order to meet this. What we mean when we say, that we're going to have all this demand is that we are expanding and we're building constantly, and we have a lot of population increasing across the globe, but also in Ontario, right here where we are. So what we have to do is we have to consider how much energy we currently have. And like I said, we produce lots, so that's good, but how do we get it out to everyone? And so currently, the companies that bring the energy to our homes or buildings around us, office buildings, schools, hospitals, they're looking at all the new ways that they are going to be able to transport that electricity, and they're beefing up the systems. So they're adding wiring, they're adding more equipment so that they can make sure that we're going to be able to transport that energy. And also, if you look at, for example, solar, or if you're in a neighborhood where you see someone has solar panels on their house, that feeds right to their house. So they don't need any more wiring. That's already feeding their house singularly. So there's nothing else that has to come to them, which is great. But from the other sources of energy that we produce, like nuclear, for example, we do have to also keep up on those power plants. We have to make sure that they're upgraded, that they're ready, that they can continue to produce nuclear energy. We have to make sure that at Niagara Falls, there's always going to be a good water supply coming in, and then also that plant is going to be able to stay there and withstand water erosion over time. So those are always being reviewed and upgraded to make sure that they're being maintained so that we can continue to produce into 2050.
How can we be smarter about our electricity use then? What are some things that we can do and kids can do?
if you're leaving your house or you're leaving a room, turn off your lights. You know, it's a great way to just conserve some electricity. Anytime that you're not using something, your electronics, unplug them. If you're charging your phone and it's charged, unplug it. If you're charging your car, if you have an electrical vehicle at home and it's charged, unplug it. Other things like today, like it was a nice sunny day this morning, so I had all my blinds open rather than having the lights on in my office here. So those are some ways that we can think about how to conserve energy and electricity more specifically.
So I was wondering if kids are interested in electricity and they want to become an electrician, how do you go about doing that? And what's so rewarding about that career?
Sure. Well, we would be so excited to hear that there's kids excited about becoming electricians or being involved in electricity. There will be lots of jobs coming in the years coming. We expect that by 2025, there'll be a large demand for trades. So we're very excited for any individuals that are looking towards these types of careers. And in a big way, I think everything that I've heard from electricians is that they really like that no 2 days are the same. So they're always, going to somebody's house or going to an office or a school to do different types of wiring or problem solve some electricity issues that they're having there. So there's lots of different things that are available, and they're helping people solve problems, but also what they do is very dangerous. And I think in that regard, they kind of are heroes, because people shouldn't be touching electrical work if they don't know what they're doing. So electricians are the heroes for us because they know what they're doing. They can go in and do it safely and solve our problems while keeping us safe. Also in high schools, they usually have some tech courses. So you can get some hands-on experience. You can learn how to wire up a switch, for example. You learn what light bulbs work and that kind of thing. Also working with electronics. There's usually some electronics courses offered in high schools and technology classes now. And then from there, what you would do is go to college to pursue it a little bit further, learn more information, and there you would get a certificate. So you become a certified electrician, for example. And there's certain electricians that also can work across Canada. They write a special exam and they can work anywhere in the country, which is pretty cool. And then in addition to that, you can become a master electrician. So you have to be an electrician for a period of time. But then it's basically, you have to demonstrate you have some experience and you write an exam. Or if you're very entrepreneurial, you can become a licensed electrical contractor. So you can go out and start your own business, you get a master electrician, or you become one yourself, and you can provide electrical contracting services to anybody in Ontario. So there's lots of different things that anyone could consider doing as an electrician in particular.
And we'll stress, leave the work to a professional.
Yes, please.
Yeah. What if you're interested in electricity? Are there other careers aside from an electrician?
Yes, there's actually so many. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mentioned a little bit that there's some electronics would be involved with that. So anything electronic, then you're looking at anything that's computer oriented. You're looking at electronic chips, anything like that, robotics, automation. In addition to that, though, there's also engineers and technologists. Electrical engineers and technologists create plans. So, for example, if you're looking to put up a new, big, huge building where you're going to have like 100 offices in that building, they would create all the plans for that and make sure that everything is wired properly and it's going to be safe for all the people that are going to be in there. You could also be a scientist. So for example, how I was explaining that there's tidal energy is being discovered along the coast of Canada. Any other sources of energy that could be used in the future. Those are other ways that, scientists get involved and look at different things that we have in our natural environment that can help us produce energy. And then we also have folks like power line workers. So those lines that you see that are strung from pole to pole as you drive around out in the country or within the city, those are power line workers that maintain those. And it's, again, really dangerous. It's really high voltage electricity that they're dealing with. So they're very, very specifically trained and are very, very technical folks. And then, of course, you've also got the Electrical Safety Authority. So at our organization, we have inspectors and we have technical advisors, and these are super brains. They have every piece of knowledge you could possibly imagine about electrical installations and systems and electricity and how energy is produced. So there's lots of variety of different ways that you can be involved in something with electricity if you're looking at a career.
That's great. Thank you for that. And since you mentioned Electrical Safety Authority, the word safety is right in there. So let's talk a little bit about how can we promote awareness and education and train people on how to be safe.
Sure. And this is so important to me as the public safety officer. So this interview is so important. And just being able to speak to individuals about safety is so important. And also for kids, because you understand, you know what you're supposed to do around electrical systems, and you're a great person to tell your mom and dad about it, maybe some smaller brothers or sisters that you have at home, friends, anybody who might listen. This is a great way to get the messages across. And we also have eSmart Kids, which is interactive, and that's something that you can share with your family at home. So again, if you have little brothers or sisters, or you can share it with your parents and go through it with them, that's a great way to get messages across. I encourage you to take a look when you're driving again, or walking maybe on your route to school. If you see poles that have the big green, it's like fluorescent green, and it says look up, look out. And that's an indicator that you're always supposed to be looking out for power lines, and particularly if there's construction happening. Because for example, with those dump trucks, they can leave their buckets up and hit the lines. Same thing with bulldozers, they can leave their buckets up, or anybody else that might be around the power lines. I think one of the most important things that I want to stress is if you're ever in a situation where you see a power line that has come down, so maybe there's an accident, or maybe somehow the power line broke and it came down, it's probably still full of electricity and it's very dangerous. So no one should go near it. You should stay at least a school bus length away from it and call 911, and they'll know who to call to come out and make sure that that site is safe so that nobody gets hurt, because it's extremely dangerous. And I think when people see that the power line is down, they think it's not working anymore, but it usually is, and it's very dangerous. So that's a really important message I wanted to get across today.
So how can we prevent some common electrical injuries at home? What can we do inside our house?
Yeah, this is a great question too, because we're actually seeing a lot of fires with young people and fabric. So their fabric is touching their electronics. And if you're using a tablet or a phone, you may notice it gets really hot. And the reason it gets really hot is because there's a battery in there. And that battery, when you plug it in, tends to get really hot. And so I think maybe sometimes what's happening is you're chatting with your friends, and then your mom and dad come to check on you to see if you're actually asleep, and you shove that under your covers and maybe fall asleep. And so we really want you to keep your electronics away from fabric. And then, in terms of other stuff that we have around our houses, sometimes we have power bars. And I have an example of what a power bar is here. So this is what a power bar looks like. So you plug lots of things into it at once. This should never, ever be used permanently. You only want to use it when you really have to. You should never have things long-term plugged into a power bar. It's very dangerous. And also things like extension cords. They're tripping hazards. So you want to keep those away from where people might be walking around. And finally, I'd also say approval stickers. So right now, I'm very guilty of this. But what you always want to do when you get it is check to make sure there's an approval sticker on there. And there'll be some information in your package about the approval marks. You want to make sure that approval sticker is on there, because that means somebody checked it to make sure it's safe. So those are some things that we should always be looking for when we're buying products that plug in.
What about anything outside? Flying a kite, climbing a tree. What about any of those things? What should kids be concerned about or look out for?
Yes. So those are great examples. So if you're hanging out outside, and definitely if you're flying a kite, if you're climbing a tree, if you're playing with a drone, and you notice there's a power line, stay away from it. So if that power line is going through the tree, that means that there's a good chance that you could be electrocuted by touching that power line if you're up that tree. And not even on purpose. You might be up the tree and turn around and your back hits it. It will electrocute you. So you want to stay away from anything like that. You also say you're helping mom and dad outside and you have a ladder out. Maybe you're cleaning gutters along the top of the house. after the fall or in the springtime. If you have a ladder up there and you see there's power lines, keep that ladder very far away from those power lines. They're very dangerous and they will electrocute you. So that can be, a devastating experience, and it's really easy to just stay away from them. So just always have it in mind that you're looking up, you're looking out, and you're staying away from those power lines. Another thing is that I see quite often when I'm walking my dog around my neighborhood is that people plant beautiful gardens around those ugly green boxes that are.
Oh, I was just going to ask you about the green boxes. What should we do with those? Can kids sit on them? What can we do?
Oh, leave them alone. Just leave them be. Just accept that they're ugly and that's where they need to be. We try to paint them green so they blend in with the grass, but at the end of the day, they're very dangerous, actually. And so we want to stay away from those too. And we don't want to plant anything around them because they have lines running underground and up into those boxes. So if you're digging down, you might hit a line. So again, very dangerous. You want to stay away from those.
Great tips. I love all this. Thank you. Are you game for a short true and false game about electricity?
Let's do it.
To wrap this up. Number 1, electricity can be created from animal waste.
Yes, that's true. It's called bioenergy. Yes.
Very cool. Iceland is the country which uses the most electricity annually.
No, that's not true. I think China is probably the biggest user of electricity, but Iceland does have really cool ways of generating electricity. And I think it's Zac Efron.
Yes, I saw that episode.
Yeah, Down to Earth. Did you see that with the thermal energy?
Yes.
So cool. So if you want to have an idea of what many of the things that I've talked about today actually look like, it's a great episode. It's called Down to Earth by Zac Efron.
It is awesome. Electricity is in our bodies.
Yes, that's also true. So if you've ever heard that somebody needed to get a pacemaker, or for example, anytime you move, your arm or your hands or your head, all of those rely on electrical impulses that go to your brain in order to make that movement happen.
Cool. Electricity travels at the speed of light.
Okay, so this one is interesting. I think somebody would get a lot of different answers for this one. It's not quite at the speed of light. It's just a little bit slower.
LED light bulbs use 80% less electricity.
Yes, definitely true. So if you have incandescent light bulbs at home, you should try to switch those out for LEDs.
LED. Okay, and the last one, electric eels can produce a 600-volt shock.
Yes, that's true. So, which is really, that's almost considered actually high voltage. So,
wow.
So like a power line, like that's almost the equivalent of that level of shock. So yeah, and the eel actually produces this impulse inside of its whole body. So that's how it doesn't actually shock itself, because its entire body is energized, which is pretty wild.
So stay away from electric eels too.
Definitely stay away.
Patience, thanks so much. I think this is really great to share with kids, with teachers, with parents on how we can stay safe, because we all need electricity in our lives, but we all need to stay safe. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm a planetary scientist. A planetary scientist is someone who studies pretty much anything that's in space, including our Earth, moons, other planets, and even stars. One of the main parts of my job is to study asteroids and how they impact the moon. Asteroids are rocky bodies floating in space that are orbiting the sun. Our moon doesn't have an atmosphere. An atmosphere is like a protective shield going around the entire planetary body. The Earth has an atmosphere, So only really large asteroids can burn through the atmosphere and actually impact the Earth. Because the moon doesn't have an atmosphere, there were a lot more asteroid impacts on the moon. The moon and the Earth formed around the same time, about 4.5 billion years ago. Since the moon has formed, there have been over 1 billion asteroid impacts. So we look at craters on the moon. We try and see how old those craters are, which tells us when that asteroid hit the moon. Let's say 1 million years ago. It gives us a good clue that probably the same thing has happened to the Earth. Now we're going to make our own impact craters to see what asteroid impacts look like on the moon. You can do this at home. All you need is some flour, a bin to contain it, some cocoa powder, and something to act like your asteroids. It could be rocks or pebbles, or even some marbles. You may also want to wear some safety goggles. All right, I've got my flour in the bin, and now I'm gonna add some cocoa powder to the top to represent the top layer or the surface of the moon. Make sure you cover all the flour with cocoa powder. I'm gonna shake it a little bit to make sure everything is spread out evenly. Okay, now we're gonna create our impact craters. I'm gonna start with my small rock and just drop it at this height. Okay, I'm gonna remove my rock gently, and the hole that it's left behind, that circular feature, is our impact crater. And we see some of the flour splashed out as well. When an asteroid hits the surface of the moon, it brings out fresh rocks and some sand from beneath the surface. Now this is fairly a small size crater. I'm gonna try to see if I can get a different sized crater if I use a bigger rock. I'll drop it from the same height. Our new impact crater is larger than the first impact crater we got. It's because we used a larger rock. Again, a lot of the rocks and the sands seem to be in a circular pattern around our crater. But if I compare the two, I can see a lot more flour, which in this case are those rocks and sand that have been splashed out. But what if we have an asteroid that hits from a different angle? I'm gonna give it a try and see what my other crater might look like. Oh, have a look at that. We can see all of the sand and the rocks, or our flour in this case, is splashed only in one direction. Not all asteroid impacts come in the same direction. They could hit the surface of the moon at very different angles. Studying the size of the impact craters or the way that the rocks and the sand have been splashed out of them can help us figure out more information about asteroid impacts on the surface of the moon. If you want to do different types of experiments, you can use different sizes of rocks. You can try dropping them from different heights and see what happens. See if your craters look any different. I became a planetary scientist because I've always been interested in space, and I had a lot of questions about it. The best part of my job is that I get to see images and pictures from other planets and the moon that have been taken by real space missions, and I use them to answer a lot of questions about how different planets have formed and how they've changed over time. If you also love space and want to become a planetary scientist, make sure you study math and science. Be curious, ask a lot of questions, visit a library to read as many books as you can about space, and visit different space agencies' websites to get more hands-on activities that you can try at home. If you also love space, want to work with cool images from other planets, or help plan future space missions, you might want to become a planetary scientist too.
Connect
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Long way from Nashville, and mama, I tell you that. Performed from Montreal to Boston to Los Angeles. But Toronto, that's my chosen home. Sure, when I'm walking down Yonge Street, I see some funny people who have the nerve to point the finger at me. And grin and smile and whisper. My song was #2 on local radio. Sold 10,000 in Toronto alone. Turned down Ed Sullivan because they asked me to remove my makeup. Wouldn't do American Bandstand because of their segregation policies. I was just being me. Never tried to explain myself to anyone. And besides, none of that to worry, Jackie, because I know I look good. Got a new way of loving, baby. Thought I want to teach it to you.
Jackie Shane was a pioneer transgender soul singer, a central figure in the Toronto R&B scene. She helped shape what we know as the Toronto sound.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
Tonight here is the Oshawa Generals Hockey Fights Cancer Night, and I'm very pleased to be joined by a very familiar voice here in the Durham region, longtime PA announcer for the Oshawa Generals, longtime morning show host on CKDO, and a cancer survivor, Terry Johnston. Terry, what does a night like this mean to you?
That's a hat trick. That's not bad. I got 3 things going for me. That's pretty good. It's a special night that every team in the NHL teams, the CHL, the OHL, all do Hockey Fights Cancer. Every single one of us has been touched by cancer. We know somebody who has battled, who is fighting, we've lost to cancer. So it's a special night, and the coolest thing is when everybody holds up a piece of paper with somebody's name on it. It has their special meaning. It's something as stupid as a little piece of paper, and it means a lot. It means a lot.
Now, you were diagnosed 4 years ago, but you've been cancer-free now for 3 years, which of course is just fantastic news. But when you were initially diagnosed, you had some surprise visitors at your front door, didn't you?
Yes, I'm sitting, and it was the day before I was going in for cancer treatment, and I was going to be there for Christmas, and I was going to be missing the rest of the General season. And I'm sitting on my couch, and I see 4 Generals walk up the front walk, and they had their jerseys on, and they had masks on. It was during COVID. And I go to the door, and I went, oh my gosh, and it was the Generals leadership team, Ty Tullio, David Jesus, Brent Harrison, and Leighton Moore, and they all came and they said, we're just here to wish you all the best and know the whole Generals family is behind you, and kind of gave me a hug, and they said, and I felt so energized and pumped when I went into hospital the next day. So it kind of showed me that the Generals team is still, it's a big family. The whole hockey community is a big family.
Of course, on that intro, it goes without saying that you're pretty much a Durham region legend. Pretty much everyone knows you out here, and you were very public with your cancer diagnosis and your fight. Have people reached out to you for support since you announced that you were battling cancer?
It's amazing because the treatment I had is called CAR-T. I won't get into the long, but anyway, they took my cells out, taught them to fight cancer, put them back into me. They fought my cancer, and they gave me 3 months later, they said, your cancer's clear. And so other people that have had this have reached out and said, hey, what happens when? And I've gotten to talk to them, and I was just at Princess Margaret, as a matter of fact, last month, and I went up to the floor and talked to patients that recently just had the same transplant, and I said, you know, maybe it's not going to work, but 3 years later, here I am. I'm still here, and I play hockey, and I'm still doing the Generals games in my morning shows, so it kind of gives them hope. Yeah, and this is the future of cancer, all based on cancer research and the money we all donate, which is fantastic.
Now, there is a little bit of a competition going on here tonight. You're raising money for the Canadian Cancer Society, as are the Oshawa Generals, so both of you going head-to-head right now. How competitive is it getting?
It's getting kind of competitive. Luca Morelli, number 19, is our ambassador for the. And originally his goal was to raise $10,000, and my goal was $1,000. When they dropped it to $5,000, I think he's at $3,000 last I looked, and I'm at $481 or something like that. So if you want to donate to, you can look it up online and donate to Team Terry or Team Luca. But it all goes to cancer research, and it'll be a great night. And it's a bit competitive, but it's fun.
So in the end, the Canadian Cancer Society is going to win, but someone has to win between the Generals and Terry Johnston. But yes, Terry said, you can check out the website right there. Go online, donate, and help fight cancer. Terry, it's so wonderful to see you back at full health. And of course, it's been a few years now since you've been back at full health, which is wonderful to see, and always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
More
fights cancer. Yeah, baby. Go ahead. So do your extra. Go.
Well, no. Do you want to do it? We're going to go to break.
I want to thank Adam Dunphy for putting that piece together for the Sports Report here. Former commissioner of the OHL, David Branch, and Whitby native, recently retired. Let's take a look back at his career.
When I think of David Branch, I think of a man who has done incredible things in hockey, especially from a grassroots hockey perspective.
David Branch has been very good for the Ontario Hockey League. He has ushered this league through tremendous change.
Dave, as the board chair, I want to thank you on behalf of all of our Board of Governors and all of our teams and franchises for 45 years of outstanding service to the game of hockey.
45 years as commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League. You've put so many players into the NHL.
Just to help us on our way.
The impact that you have had, the positive impact that you have had, really can never be paralleled.
Dave, so much respect for you, for all you've done for junior hockey through the years. I can say that nobody in the history of the OHL or the CHL, for that matter, has done more to advance junior hockey on and off the ice.
Please welcome our first 2016 Order of Hockey in Canada inductee of the night, Mr. David Branch.
They've all gone wherever they go. Broken halos that used to shine.
Congratulations on an incredible run and a wonderful career. You know, to call you a pioneer across the sport of hockey feels like a wild understatement.
Dave, you woke up every morning and the only thought in your mind was to do what's best for what you always said were the most important people in the game, and that's the players.
Go and enjoy yourself, go and enjoy your family, and think of all the good you did for so many young kids.
We say to parents, you know what, hand us your son and we'll treat him like he's our son.
So David, as you head into retirement, let me give you a little bit of advice. Work is highly overrated. Sit back, enjoy the OHL.
I wanted to tell you how grateful we are at the NHL for all that you have given the game. Congratulations and well done.
Broken halos that used to shine.
Once again, I want to thank my guests for coming into the Sports Report here on Rogers TV Durham, and thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
My dad was a railway porter. It was just about the only job a black man could get. But he had big plans for us. Music would be our ticket out of poverty. I knew we couldn't afford that piano, so I practiced twice as hard.
Nice, Daisy. Okay, Oscar, let's hear it.
Turns out I wasn't half bad. Then I found jazz, or it found me. It wasn't all easy, though. I faced a lot of hate, but I found my stage. They call me the man with 4 hands. Well, I don't know about that, but let's see how far this ticket takes me.
From Montreal to Carnegie Hall and far beyond, Oscar Peterson became one of the most recorded and celebrated jazz musicians of all time.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play, and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hi there, I'm Eric Marchin, and this is Cinema Scene in Review. With awards season underway, the contentious conversation has cemented Brady Corbet's intellectually stimulating The Brutalist as a top-tier contender. Timothée Chalamet covers Bob Dylan in the traditional biopic, A Complete Unknown, while Baby Girl star Nicole Kidman explores suppressed desires. And who wouldn't succumb to darkness when Nosferatu came to town? Today's show features all that and more, starting with Ramel Ross's transcendent adaptation of Nickel Boys. Take a look. The best film of 2024 rhythmically experiments with observational logic to challenge visual constructs. Director Ramel Ross makes his first scripted feature following up the Oscar-nominated documentary Hale County This Morning, This Evening, adapting American author Colson Whitehead's 2019 Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, The Nickel Boys, alongside co-writer/producer Jocelyn Barnes. A devastating account of institutionalized racism and violence at the Dozier School for Boys in 1960s Florida looks inward, the sentient perspective, as Ross calls it, not to be confused with POV, harnesses the wandering camera like an organ looking at the world in a unique way. Conscientiously executed, the shifting viewpoints are shared by 2 black boys, Elwood, portrayed by Ethan Harisi, and Turner, played by Brandon Wilson. Victims of abuse and segregation, Elwood and Turner find solace in their friendship, helping each other cope with gross injustice rarely witnessed but horrifically represented through sound design and abstraction. Ingenue Ellis Taylor will break your heart as Elwood's loving grandmother, frustrated by a system that wrongly imprisoned her gifted grandchild. Seeing her sorrow and feeling like she's failed Elwood might be the most empathetic moment on screen. It's also one of the finest supporting performances, changing how actors interact and become would-be cinematographers in collaboration with DP Jomo Frey. Malekian in nature, the former Georgetown Hoyas point guard poetically probes the cinematic language, examining historical trauma African Americans have been subjected to while finding space and time for the protagonists to live. Narratively jumping around, you'll have to work harder to know when and where you are in specific sequences. It demands your undivided attention, but is rewarding in bending the conventional form to its breaking point. Seldom does a studio release appear in such an abstract avant-garde presentation, smuggled through the system and wrapped so prestigiously. You will never forget the impactful direction, nor should you. Nickel Boys redefines, complicates, and reflects on what cinema can be. My final rating, A+.
These are yours, yes? Yes. All of them? Yes.
Actor turned director Brady Corbet's uncompromising VistaVision shot epic intellectually stimulates. Oscar winner Adrian Brody as Hungarian Jewish architect Laszlo Toth immigrates to America, narrowly surviving the Holocaust, where his broken embrace of assimilated cousin Attila, betrayed by Alessandro Nivola, reveals a startling admission. After settling in Philadelphia, Brody's master builder will tangle with hot-headed industrial magnate Harrison Lee Van Buren Sr., played by a John Huston channeling Guy Pearce, who commissions him to construct the long-in-development Christian Community Center in honor of the affluent antagonist's late mother. At 3.5 hours, featuring a 15-minute intermission, the acclaimed filmmaker behind cult hits Vox Lux and The Childhood of a Leader mounts cinematic greatness made for the theatrical experience. Not only does the meticulously paced event film cement itself amongst new Hollywood classics like The Godfather Part 2 and The Deer Hunter, Corbet announces himself to the world of populist auteurs reserved for Paul Thomas Anderson, Christopher Nolan, and a select few. He's arrived. Don't worry about the unwieldy duration, it seamlessly flies by, earning lofty real estate. Brody and Pearce redefine their floundering DTV careers, going toe-to-toe in metaphorical roles representing art and commerce initially meant for others. Neither actor has been this extraordinary since the early 2000s. The Pianist, which won Brody his Academy Award, provides a performance comparison and articulates the obsessive nature of perfectionism, putting personal health and safety aside for structural supremacy. Guy Pearce carelessly excretes greed, racism, and xenophobia, embodying sometimes humorously capitalist values. Felicity Jones doesn't enter the picture until the second half, betraying Toth's osteoporosis-stricken spouse, Erzsébet. Audiences could take Jones's vital performance for granted on initial viewing, but she commands attention on rewatch. The impeccable supporting cast enriches an assuredly rigorous, extremely cynical magnum opus of the American dream. Cinematographer Lo Crawley textually transports us back in time to a post-World War II age with the most stunning single take, scored by composer Daniel Blumberg's imposing soundtrack to establish the sprawling nature of the past. Each frame is expertly composed. Ironically, a talking point has been the modest budget that has produced such high-end results. In my opinion, this is better than Oppenheimer. It's also aesthetically appealing, employing ostentatious title credits. The Brutalist is built to stand the test of time. My final rating, A. Nicole Kidman's sexually unfulfilled CEO relinquishes control to a young intern portrayed by Harris Dickinson. Oftentimes, erotic thrillers titillate rather than investigate wants and desires, shamelessly catering to male curiosity. Rarely does this subgenre rouse mature conversation facilitated through the female gaze, as Dutch writer-director Helena Rain observes non-judgmentally. The complex performance of Kidman boldly rejects conventionality when her character Romy, wife, mother, and high-ranking businesswoman, consents to Dickinson's dominating Samuel. A carnal Christmas ensues in New York City, where personal boundaries, power dynamics, and pleasure-seeking unwrap the gender-flip two-hander. Usually, it's an older man tempting fate with an impressionable ingenue, perhaps with some dangerous elements involved. Rain subverts those expectations for modern audiences while still applying past hallmarks. Scoring a hot and heavy montage of the BDSM affair to George Michael's father figure embraces decades-old tropes, deliberately provoking a dialogue dissolving sinful stereotypes. Somewhere between self-destruction and self-fulfillment, Kidman vulnerably articulates her character's truth in exploring suppressed, humiliating fetishes. Explicitly trusting her director, the Oscar-winning Aussie bears all, refusing to settle for mediocrity. It's another daring portrayal, expressionistically projected. Very few movie stars on Kidman's level continually seek out challenging material and filmmakers with whom to collaborate. Plus, it'll make a delicious double bill with Eyes Wide Shut this holiday season. Dickinson also opposes picking mainstream parts, instead choosing eclectic productions like The Iron Claw, Triangle of Sadness, and The Souvenir Part 2. Arguably, Dickinson's underwritten Samuel depends on the budding actor's natural appeal for development, which comments on how Objects of Desire remain just that. He definitely will have you begging for more. Both actors lock into their respective roles, creating an impenetrable force field around intimacy and gratification shrouded in sleekness, and this may be the greatest Got Milk ad committed to screen. The supporting cast features a nuanced Antonio Banderas playing Kidman's loving theater director husband, Talk to Me rising star Sophie Wilde as the aggravated assistant, and Esther McGregor, daughter of Ewan, playing the rebellious daughter